Hello and welcome everybody. Uh, this is Strategic Impact again, and this is our Web3 podcast. And I'm Gabor, and next to me is Zoltan. And today we will continue our topic on NFT launches. You may remember last week we had a lot of ideas and thinkings about how you should build up a proper roadmap. And today we are going forward, and we will talk about. Um, Building up the go-to-market strategy, which is mostly about the social strategy and Twitter. And yeah, this is a crucial topic here because I think most of the successful projects depend on the proper Twitter strategy. If you are not doing this topic well, you are a walking dead. I'm pretty sure about this. So what we should talk about, uh, I think that's really important topic here. How you build up your strategy. I think in the past 6 months, all of the NFT project has one strategic aspect here. So everybody thinking about that. There was BASI, Board API Club, and it was super successful. Everybody wants to repeat this success, and their value proposition for the people is simple. So you weren't able to join BASI, you lost this train, but here's another one. You can jump in, and maybe, just maybe, you will be able to repeat this success story and make a shitload of money of it. But this is not this simple. This is not this simple, and what we really need to say out pretty loud, this strategy is not working anymore.
No, especially not in the last couple of weeks, months. The metas have massively changed from the ape world, and it's just not enough. Empty roadmaps and just the hype itself is just not enough. Now we are getting to the point when we are kind of sitting in a bear market. We're getting to the point where the numbers are not that important anymore as well. Obviously, you want to have high numbers in social followers and Twitter followers and any kind of metrics and aspects. But now they need to be quality numbers. They need to be numbers matching the interests to your project. Otherwise, you're doing something wrong.
Yes, I'm pretty sure about that, and that's the reason many projects going wrong. We should really mention a good example here, which is Pixelmon. It's just happening in the past few weeks, and
Or
really
a bad
crazy things are
example.
going there. Really, yeah,
Yeah,
very bad example.
it it's a very good bad example. It is very interesting if somebody knows the story. So Pixelmon has promised that they will deliver the first AAA title game in the NFT world, and they have created this 3D world where people can interact and play a game and explore various worlds, and that's kind of the promise. They mentioned that they are collaborating with a game studio. They mentioned that they are collaborating with the development studio for the NFT work and all of that stuff. There are some very interesting numbers that are attached. If you look at their Twitter profile, you can see roughly 250,000 Twitter followers. Let that
Looks
sink in.
pretty healthy, isn't it?
250,000 followers for an NFT project. That is a pretty high number. That is not a common number, especially for new projects. And there is only one member that I actually managed to find that is active on the Pixelmon Twitter itself as well, and he has roughly 50,000, 56,000 Twitter followers. So it's very interesting, but here is the catch: 250,000 followers, and you have 400 tweets, roughly 400 tweets, or maybe even less. The account has been alive since 2016. That's interesting. That's pre-NFT, right? Um, and the owner who has 50,000, he has about 400 tweets as well. Started tweeting in December with 50,000 followers. Um, you need to ask the hard
Yeah.
questions. Where did you get those numbers from? Are these really the followers that are interested in your project? Did you build up a really amazing social strategy where you have spent a lot of money on advertisements, build great collaborations, used the best influencers in the market, and then you have gained so much traction? Or did you just go and buy a hacked account from somewhere which had
Mhm.
already tens of thousands of followers and then you just went from there? Which is much more
And
likely of what.
yeah, it looks like it's the second option because
Yeah.
it's really hard to find some really good collaboration here. It's not the answer. I didn't really find some really good influencers who supported them. So the answers are lying somewhere. Maybe they just bought a Twitter account which was pre-existed. Maybe they just bought some followers and they bought some engagements. I could imagine the number of bots are high on this account. So there are many questions here, and once what's really important here, what we mentioned in the previous podcast is that things are changing now. The value and the roadmap is more important nowadays. And they did a pretty bad job revealing all of these things. They are started to reveal some really important parts now, but I think it's late. I think it's late for these projects. So what's a really important lesson here? You really need to be thoughtful how you build up your project, and I think you should split your go-to-market strategy into several different milestones. I think the first milestone, the first 1, 2, 3 week, depends on your project, should be about building up your story. You
And your
should,
reputation.
yes, your reputation as well. You need to explain your mission and vision pretty well. You need to put a lot of effort into it because it will be difficult. You need to be thoughtful here and explain your story. And you also need to reveal yourself and explain your background. What are you doing here and what kind of value you can provide for the people,
Yeah.
and why it's matter to invest into this project.
Absolutely. And these need to intersect. The people behind the project need to be able to deliver that value. And you have to be super vocal about that. You have to show that, yes, this is who we are, this is our vision, and this is what we will and we can deliver because we have the skills, we have the capabilities, we have the plan, we have the roadmap, and this is how we are going to provide value for you. And this is the story that your first couple of weeks really should be about for me to have that confidence to invest in any way into your project.
Yeah, what
This is
what I'm
very
pretty
important.
sure about. Yeah, yeah. What I'm pretty sure about that. Some projects need some time until they polish their messages. That's kind of normal.
Yeah,
I've seen many projects who tweeted something, they polished it, they improved it step by step, and I think it's okay if you delete some of your tweets from the past.
yeah,
If you
many
polished
do
your
that.
message, that's not a problem.
Many do that. You want to look a little bit better on social media, right? You don't want to people to scroll back and and see like zero activity tweets. I mean that's kind of okay if you want to get rid of those, or if you want to remove some of the tweets that had much less interaction than any other stuff. That's okay because you want to show a strong front to the community that people are interested in your project. As long as you still provide that content and still show that that legitimacy that people can trust you, and people should trust you, that is totally fine. Buying followers, buying hacked accounts, buying bots is something that is much closer to the rug pull side. So if you start using those strategies, people will start wondering, or at least should be wondering, and very rightfully so, are you for real? Or is just gonna be the next, I don't know, Squiggles, pick someone, or whatever the next is going to be.
Yeah, yeah. What's getting more and more common here is using Twitter advertisements. I think that's totally fine in this space, and more projects need to learn to use it extensively, because I think this is a legitimate way to build up your community, and Twitter gives you really good tools to do that. There are two kinds of advertisements in Twitter that need to be used here. One is about reaching out. It's building up a bigger and bigger community and really find a proper audience for yourself. And the other is engagement, making sure they are getting active on your project. They need to be shown need to be shown the value of this project here. And yeah, I don't think there is a problem with this approach.
No, I agree. And also you have to, though you will be relying on Twitter advertising, not every project has a star behind, right? You might not have Dev Patel behind you. You might not have, I don't know, a famous game designer from Riot Games, creating your NFT art, which means that you are not going to have that really strong initial push of a follower base to be directed to your project. In which case, you need to use these methods. You need to build up that follower base. You need to build up that credibility, and it is very important that don't expect that with your first tweet you're gonna get your first 1,000 followers. That is not gonna happen. That's not how social media works. That's not how these algorithms work. It takes time, effort. It will take time to figure out, as Gabor just mentioned, how to optimize these ad campaigns to drive traffic to your Twitter feed. So just keep doing, just keep working through, just do what's right, and you'll get there. And also manage your expectations that won't wake up next morning with 1,000 followers. That's not how it works.
No. You have to work on it a lot, and you need to be really thoughtful on this topic, and you need to think about a lot of things. First is if you are launching your project, you really need to find out where you want to introduce it, and where are the people who will be interested on these. If you are working on NFTs or Web3 and building some valuable project here, you should consider the UK, London especially. You should consider the East Coast, New York, and Miami. These are very, very busy places in this space. You should consider the West Coast as well, Austin, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, of course, and Asia is also getting more and more busy in this space. What's also need to be considered.
In many aspects, they are leading this space in Asia, actually. So you definitely should not forget about it, especially if your art or your theme is closer to that culture. Then you definitely need to include Asia.
Yeah. You need to consider these when you're posting your tweets, because you really need to find the right time during the days when you are posting these. So you always need to schedule your tweets right to that time zones. You really need to post the right tweets for all the countries. So it comes with a lot of thinking. The other thing is you really need to optimize your advertisement and actually aim with your tweets to the right areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about how to get engagement on your tweets. Um, I think it is relatively safe to say that when you are tweeting about your story might get likes, but it will definitely not get the typical retweets and that big spread of word where you tag like 5 friends. It's not gonna get that level of interaction. So, what strategies would you advise for collection creators to use uh, to get more engagement on their tweets?
So I think when you are building these up, it's important if you are telling your story well. You always need to consider to build up some call to actions into your tweets. You really need to ask this collaboration from them. You really need to ask this interaction, and you should ask questions, create interactivity, discuss these topics, because people really want to do that, but they usually need a little push, especially at the beginning, while you are a small account, while you don't have many followers. Yeah, you should consider to ask this activity from them. You should be
So me,
shameless in this.
absolutely. So me as a collector, I go around and look at some of these tweets and I find them interesting, engaging. Maybe I drop a follow, but I definitely don't spread the word unless there is a direct benefit for me. Um, let's say I can get a whitelist or something. So how do you think whitelisting strategy or influencers can play into the role of spreading the word? How
So
would you advise
both
new collectors,
both
no,
both
new
both are
collection makers?
super. Yeah, both are interesting tactics. So let's just first talk about the whitelist. The whitelist are pretty important for your project because it creates really good engagement with your followers and people who's interested in this project. Because this is a kind of way, if you introduce the whitelist, this is an opportunity for them to be there at the sale and actually be able to buy one of the NFTs. But it's a really tricky weapon here. I mean, if you give away most of your whitelist at the beginning of your project, yeah, it can go wrong easily
Yeah, it happens
because
to me. Yeah, it happens to me that sometimes I get a whitelist at the very beginning, and I just kind of forget about it, right? If the project is not like extremely hyped, um, I just don't really follow it that much. I just don't care about it that much. It has to be a whitelist, a really hard earned at a later stage that would get me, excited and say that, oh, okay, I'm gonna mint this project.
yeah, yeah. So yes, this is the difficult part of these campaigns. I usually recommend to keep most of your whitelist spots at the end of your campaign, right before the sale, in the last few days before the sale. It's crucial for your project because if these guys are needed to work a lot for it, and their FOMO is high, and the sales is close, it's more likely they will actually buy one of your NFTs.
Yeah, that is very true. I felt it myself. A whitelist acquired at the very latest stages worth 10 times more than a whitelist that you managed to get at the very beginning. And that's what you want, right?
Yeah,
You want to basically guarantee that the people who are whitelisted, they will actually mint, right? Because
yeah,
if you distribute those whitelists at the very beginning and people don't show up for your private sale, I mean, yeah, private sale, your pre-sale, um, then you lost, right? If you can't sell
yeah,
out the majority or whatever your plan was for your pre-sale, then your messaging for the public sale is going to be very, very hard because it just shows that there was no interest. People had whitelist and they didn't mint. So what does it mean now? So that's definitely where you don't want to fall into a trap there. You need to be very smart about distributing your whitelisting. But at the same time, it's your most powerful weapon at the very beginning to get engagements, because that's what gets you the retweets. That's what gets you the tagging. Or that's what really gets you the Discord joiners. That's what gets you the followers. So you have to be very smart. And maybe, tweeting from your own account from at the very beginning won't get you that reach. You will have to distribute that 10 whitelist for a really small audience. And this is where influencers can play an amazingly important role in your social strategy. So if you would have an advice on how to select influencers, what would you say?
So what's really important for you when you are selecting your influencers is really look for some guys who's actually having an authentic voice in the space you are in. If you're in the ticket industry, look for guys who's in the ticket industry. If you are building a DeFi infrastructures like Shadow with Super Coder Grub, look for those guys who's really has a authentic and a credible voice in this space. And the other thing I recommend when you are looking for your influencers, be really thoughtful who you are choosing here. Look for the guys who are not the big superstars. Every project would like to start with Elon Musk, but yeah, it won't happen. It won't happen, and you won't be able to reach these guys or nor even pay these guys. So look for the guys who are 1, 2, 3 steps above you. So if you have a couple of hundreds of followers, look for the guys who has a couple of thousands of followers. Much easier to reach. The other thing that's really important. Yeah. The other thing that's really important for you is look for guys whose Twitter account is credible. Look for the numbers. If you see a really good activity there, if you see all of his tweets has good engagement, likes, retweets, replies, that's a good sign. Look into the replies. You will see if it's actual people who's replying on, or these are just bot shit, something like that. And you can use tools like Twitter follower wonk, because it can tell you the quality of the accounts. There are many accounts that are full with bots, and people you cannot expect too much thing.
You will have your first tweet as an NFT project, putting all the right hashtags on, and I guarantee you, the first people who will reply to your tweet and try to get in contact with you will be people who are basically offering you promoting options, like NFT influencers. You will look at their account and you will see, wow, this guy has 400,000 followers. That is insane. I mean, I have to get engaged with this guy. You might even reach out to get the menu where you will see how a pinned tweet for 24 hours or 48 hours will cost this much. But then you look at these followers and you see that, oh my God, like the engagement rate is extremely low. Then you start looking at the tweets that have been pinned before, the ones that are offering the whitelist, that is basically doing the promotions, and you will see that an account with 400,000 followers and you get like 50, 60 likes, maybe 100, maybe 200. Something must be really off there, right? So you really need to vet the influencers that you want to work with, because otherwise you're going to be just burning money for pretty much nothing. And even if you get followers from that account, they will be bots and they won't really mint anything from you. So you have to be very smart in your selection process.
Yeah. And the other thing you should always consider, use follower wonk, and you will be able to find out from which part of the world these guys have the followers. If you are focusing like the US East Coast and this influencer has a big audience, for example, Southeast Asia, maybe he's not the right guy for you. It can be a really valuable influencer, of course. I'm not telling that, but maybe you are not looking for him because it's
Yeah.
not aligning with your strategy. Be thoughtful in these things,
Yeah.
and it can help you a lot.
So we have been discussing how to kick off your social strategy by telling your story and building up your reputation. Then we went into the stages where you are going to be sharing more about your project, you're going to be revealing more information about your project, keeping up the FOMO, keeping up the hype, whatever, you are going to build, to tell more about your value proposition and use whitelisting strategies to basically get more and more followers, the usual retweet, follower, like, follow that person as well. So this is all great. But how do you engage and how do you keep um, users more active, and how do you keep them on your project? How do you incentivize them to, when minting date comes, just do that minting? And how do you think, for example, a platform like Discord can play an important role in this one?
So what's really important here is Twitter gives you a level of engagement with the people, but with Discord, you can even bring them closer to your project. This way, uh, at some point, you really need to open up your Discord channel here, your Discord server here, and ask the people to come into this community, and you will be able to communicate a more meaningful way. And this way, you can share them even more information about the details of the project. You will keep some of the information for these channels, or make it happen. They will hear these informations first. Of course, you need to offer something for these people to come into your Discord channel. Maybe some whitelist spots. That's
And to stay there.
usually work, and to stay there, of course, of course. And we are just getting to the next topic here, which is super important, which is information reveal. This is the second stage of your go-to-market strategy. You need to reveal even more information of your project. This is the time when you came up with your landing page. This is the time when you reveal your roadmap and explain the people what's in this roadmap and why it will provide value for them. You remember the previous episode we explained the things regarding the roadmap and explained why it's important. So this is the time you explain it for your followers. Twitter is more limited on this. Discord, yeah, Discord is the place where you really can explain all of these things. And I would like to recommend another tool that can help you a lot to explain these things, which is Twitter Spaces. MEA sessions are super important here because this will help people to really understand what's happening with your project and why are you doing this. The engagement will skyrocket here.
Absolutely. And letting your community to ask questions is really, really important, because it can reveal a lot of information about the sentiment, about, very common topics concerning your project. So just getting prepared for that, allowing them to ask and encouraging them to ask is really important. And while we were talking about, by the way, whitelists and how to find the locations and the moments where you are awarding somebody for activity, so basically trying to give the whitelist spots for your highest engaged users, the people who are going to be asking questions, they're definitely very high engagement. So you might want to consider, rewarding a couple of people with whitelist spots there.
Yeah, and other things that's really important with Discord, you will have super great tool to actually monitor the activity of the people. You will be able to introduce some levels for the people in your community. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. And if people are more engaged, you should consider to categorize them in higher levels of these engagements.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Best
you
engagement.
can give them more. You can give them more. Give most of the whitelist spots for the people are more engaged.
Exactly.
That's crucial for your project.
They are the ones who mint,
And
right?
yeah. And that's your own interest. So yeah, and if you're using Discord, you can use many tactics. For example, you can introduce some little games, bounties, challenges. Many things can be introduced here, and it's also helping the engagement.
Exactly.
But you always need to give them something
Yeah, small
in return.
quizzes, small contests, uh, Twitter raid, Twitter raid winners. So basically, whoever is doing the most for your project, whoever is most interested and most invested in making your project succeed, they are the ones you want to reward. And Discord and these games that you just mentioned are really great way to actually find these people and also to activate these people.
Yes. So this is the way where you are connecting Discord and Twitter, but you shouldn't forget your people on Twitter. Even though you are focusing more on Discord, Twitter will be always important for you. Uh, we can describe these two tools. Twitter is for reach, Discord is for engagement,
Exactly.
and you should consider these tools this way.
Exactly. You need to use your Twitter account to convert those people into Discord, and you need to use Discord to keep them engaged and keep them on your project. So when mint date happens, then they will be very highly engaged and they will be minting your NFTs. So that's kind of how you
Yeah.
have to think about it, and how you have to also divide attention. You have to keep in mind though that Discord is actually a very work heavy tool. You will need mods. It's very likely that if you are, for example, covering the entire planet, you want to engage in US, and let's say you want to engage in Asia as well. That's a 24-hour coverage, right? Pretty much. So you have to you need help. Like one person won't be able to handle Discord. You have to monitor the development. You have to engage with your community. There will be times when there is going to be fear of death or something like that, and then you want to jump in and you want to show that and provide that reassurance that you are there, you are listening, you are acting on those requests and on those fears. So it will
Yeah.
require a lot of work
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah. And what we can recommend here, at some point, you should really consider to involve some members of the community as more closer team members and make them moderators in many channels. They can help you a lot. You otherwise you won't be able to provide this kind of coverage, which is 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's really crucial and means a lot of job here.
Yeah.
So yes, and we are getting closer and closer to the sale, and this is the big moment for every project. I think when we are getting closer to the big day, the D-Day, the activity needs to getting more and more frequent, and you need to share even more information, and you need to really push the FOMO and the hype into an even bigger level. And hopefully the project will become as successful as you are expecting, and you put a shitload of work into it. And yeah, there will be many activities right after the mint is happened, but we will talk about this in one of the next podcasts. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode as well, and I hope you found it valuable and heard information which was new for you. This is why we are doing all of these stuffs. So thank you very much for joining us today again, and hope you will join us in a day or two for the next episode. Bye, guys. Cheers.
Bye bye.